Okay, good evening. This is the Harwich Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, the 22nd of September, 2020 at 6:30, being held via remote participation. And as our call to order is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 20, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Harwich Planning Board is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Let's take a roll call of members present. Duncan Berry is present. Craig Chadwick.
Craig Chadwick here.
David Harris.
David Harris present.
Bill McFarland. Not here. Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski here.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson here.
Arthur Rouse. And Bill Stoltz.
Bill Stoltz here.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, how are you, Duncan?
Good to hear your voice.
Good.
So tonight we have two items for public hearings, zoning bylaw amendment public hearings. All of that information is available not only in the recent issue of the paper, but it's also available online. And we would like to essentially open a meeting to, or I should say, get a motion to, do I need a motion to open the hearing?
No, you can just call the hearing to order.
Okay, I hereby call the hearing to order. And what we would like to do is to make sure that everybody understands that the kind of the general proposition here for the first item, which is the zoning amendment public hearing for the West Harwich Special District. And because it is a rather lengthy piece of text, it is recommended that we simply explain the proposal as opposed to go into great detail of reading line by line. We want to make sure that all public members of the public who wish to comment absolutely get an opportunity to do so. And planning board members are encouraged to participate as well. We will at some point close that public hearing, and the board will then take a vote whether or not to make a recommendation to the town meeting, and that will be done by roll call. So would anybody like to make a general, Charlene, would you care to make the general comment about the introducing the material?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Joe McCollum, would you just record me as being in attendance? I get in right as you were starting.
We've got you.
Thank you.
So the first public hearing is to see if the town will vote to amend the Harwich town zoning bylaw by establishing a new article, Roman numeral 24, the West Harwich Special District, and other related changes to sections 325-2-3 and -4, which are the definitions, the map, and the districts. So what you have before you is something that you have all seen several times, but this is the public hearing this evening. A little background, back on the 17th of August, the Board of Selectmen did vote unanimously to sponsor, support, and refer the proposed zoning amendment relative to the West Harwich Special District to the Planning Board so that you could begin the public hearing process. On August 18th, the Board of Health voted unanimously to support the efforts and implementation regulations of the West Harwich Special District. On August 19th, the Conservation Commission voted unanimously to support the West Harwich Special District in implementing regulations. And on September 4th, the Cape Cod Commission voted unanimously to confirm that the proposed implementing regulations, the West Harwich Special District zoning bylaw, conforms with the guidelines set out for the West Harwich Special District established within Barnstable, County Ordinance 19-18 adopted on December 4th, 2019. So what this bylaw does is it creates the statutory authority and purpose and intent and applicability of the proposed West Harwich Special District. It establishes two new definitions. Specifically, those are definitions for the terms historic structure and also principal building facade. It also provides for a list of permitted uses within the district itself, and then additional permitted uses within historic structures, and then provides for a list of special permit uses for various types of buildings. It also provides that any use that is not strictly listed within the uses is strictly prohibited, and there is a provision that no use variances will be allowable. There is also provision to allow for the continuation of pre-existing non-conforming uses. That way those uses can be changed and continued. There's a gas station there that otherwise would not be allowable in the West Harwich Special District. Frankly, it's not even allowable in the underlying zoning, which is the CH1, but it's a protected use in that district. And there are a couple other uses that are also protected. We have a provision for the change, alteration, and expansion of pre-existing non-conforming uses in our structures. And that's kind of a tiered level. Anything up to 250 square feet, it would be a review by the town planner or the individual designated by the planning board to review that, to be sure that it's consistent with the review standards that have been established. The second tier is up to 1,000 square feet, could be reviewed and approved by the planning board under your waiver provision of the site plan review, and that's section 32555F as in Frank. And then the final is anything over 1,000 square feet would have to go through the full site plan review, which you already have within the zoning bylaw. New construction would also have to meet the requirements of the site plan approval process pursuant to section 32555. We also created a number of review standards. And in that we have, I'll run through those very quickly. Front setback requirement for the principal building facade shall be a minimum of 20 feet and a maximum of 40 feet. That'll allow for a staggered setback. Sideline setbacks are 20 feet. Rear lot line setback is 20 feet. Parking is allowed to be within 10 feet back from the principal structure. The maximum site coverage shall not exceed 80 feet. The standard 30-foot height and 2.5 story still remains. The minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet. The maximum allowable length of the front of the principal building facade is 50 feet. An adjacent street-facing facade shall be set back a minimum of 10 feet. And then we also have the maximum footprint for the front building of 2,000 square feet, and the maximum footprint for the rear building is 3,000 square feet. We also have provisions regarding parking, driveways, vehicular and pedestrian access standards, a couple things there. Only one curb cut, no more than 24 feet. We encourage shared driveways. And we also are encouraging or requiring that visual buffers be included from the street for parking. So that is a very quick overview, and I meant to share the map. And this shows, hopefully you can see it. Can you see the
Yes.
map? That shows the boundaries of the district, which basically go from the town line of Dennis or Dennisport, easterly to the western edge of the Herring River. And in most cases, it does follow the rear property line of the property. So it goes beyond the underlying CH1 zoning district, which has a depth of 200 feet on either side of Route 28. This does go to the back lot line, except for the parcel that has the Habitat for Humanity homes on it. We did bring that down to the original 200 feet. So that those homes could continue to be developed while the moratorium was in place. So unless board members or folks on the GoToMeeting have any questions or comments, Sarah Kordjeff is also here if there are any specific questions that she might be able to help with. But otherwise, I turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Charlene. First, let's start off with if we have any comments from the public at large. Anybody online or on by phone? Hi, Patty.
Hi.
Nice to see
I
you.
would like to make a comment.
Please.
So I've attended many of the planning board meetings since the initiative began. As a resident of West Harwich, but I come before you tonight as the president of the Board of Trustees of Chase Library. The West Harwich, this new set of guidelines establishing the West Harwich Special District and the zoning bylaw changes that are proposed here, we feel are just such a blessing to this area of West Harwich. There are so many historic inventory properties in this area, not the least of which is Chase Library, our National Register building. And we are looking very much forward to the passage of this bylaw amendment and the establishment of the special district so that West Harwich can retain its traditional historic fabric. We can look for small scale economic development and traditional development. And so we are looking very much forward to the passage of this, this amendment.
Thank you so much, Patty. Great to hear from you. Appreciate the sentiments and the ideas.
Thank you. I'd like to express my gratitude, though, to the planning board, especially to Charlene herself and to Sarah Kordjeff for all of the very hard work that went into this. We're really, West Harwich owes you a great deal of appreciation. So thank you. I'll mute myself.
Thank you.
Can somebody identify for me the name of that last speaker?
That was Patricia Torek. Did I pronounce
Thank you.
that properly? Yeah, okay. Okay, do we have anybody else who would like to weigh in from the public? Don't hear anybody. How about from the board? Not hearing much of anything. Mary, go ahead, please.
Hi, Duncan. Thank you. I just want to express my support for us voting in the affirmative to recommend this to town meeting. I think this has been a daunting task that we've kind of undertaken over the before last year, but over the last year as well. And I'd love to see this get recommended to town meeting and go forward for approval.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to weigh in?
Just one quick thing, Duncan, if I might.
Yes.
So this is on the town meeting warrant, and the town meeting is this Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning at the Monomoy Regional High School football field. Somebody did ask me, are there going to be chairs provided? Yes, there are going to be chairs. They're going to be in sets of 2 set apart. But this is Article 23 on the town meeting warrant. And just as a reminder to the board and anybody else who might be participating or listening, it does require 2/3 vote of the voters present and voting at the town meeting on Saturday. So just keep that in mind.
Great.
Duncan, it's Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Howdy. Just more of a procedural question. Does anybody from the planning board need to, or should they speak in favor, if assumedly that's going to be the vote at the annual town meeting?
Duncan, you want me to?
Please.
Okay, so Duncan as the chair will have to make a report to the town meeting, which I'm going to prepare tomorrow morning, assuming that the board, well, either way, if the board does vote to recommend this to the town meeting, I will put together a report, saying that you held a duly noticed and posted public hearing. The Board of Health, the Conservation, and the Selectmen have already endorsed this, as has the Cape Cod Commission, as being consistent with the county ordinance, and that the board voted in, whether it's unanimous or what have you, to recommend this to the town meeting. If there are, I actually gave a 1-page briefing to the Board of Selectmen. It's actually the Finance Committee who makes motions on articles, which I've been here 5 years and I'm still trying to put my head around that, but that's how they do it here, and we can't break from tradition. So they will have a cheat sheet. So they may do a brief presentation. They may turn it directly over to me as a town planner to explain it, or they may ask for more input from the chair or any other board member who may want to speak to it. And then obviously the public in general, can speak to it. Because it's really, I can give the facts and the information about it, but I can't promote it as the town planner. I don't have that, especially because I'm not a town resident. So that does have to come from all of you out there who are town residents.
Thank you.
This is Dave. I have a question. Is procedurally, do we need a motion to waive reading the full notice?
No.
Thank you. But you do need a motion to make the recommendation to town meeting.
Absolutely. Yep, there's going to need to be a motion to close the public hearing, and then a motion, and I always recommend a positive motion, regardless of however you may vote. So I would recommend a positive motion.
Dave Harris, I move to close the public hearing.
Craig, second.
Second.
Actually, Joe got the first second in there, so we'll give that to Joe.
Vote then. Duncan Berry. This is a motion to close the hearing. Duncan Berry, aye. Craig Chadwick.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
Dave Harris.
David Harris, aye.
Bill McFarland.
Bill McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson, aye.
And Arthur Rouse is.
He's not on, but Bill is.
And Bill Stoltz.
Bill Stoltz, aye.
Thank you, Bill. So do I have a motion on a recommendation? A positive motion on a recommendation, please?
Duncan, I move that the planning board vote to approve the proposed zoning amendment for the West Harwich Special District and recommend the same to town meeting.
Do I have a
Dave, I
second?
have a second.
Great. Any discussion? Then why don't we do a roll call? Duncan Berry, aye. Craig Chadwick.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
David Harris.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson, aye.
And Bill Stoltz.
Bill Stoltz, aye.
So we have a motion to recommend. So with this special district zoning amendment public hearing closed, I think it's time for us now to move on to the second amendment to be entertained this evening, which is agenda item 1-2-A, which is the
Actually, it's 2A2.
2A2, excuse me. I have 1A2, 2A2.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't look at that one. Look at the agenda.
Okay, my bad. So I think what we'll do is the same thing here. We will declare a public meeting now open. And I will ask the town planner to offer a synopsis of what it is that the hearing will be about. And we'll proceed from there.
Okay. So this is to see if the town will vote to amend the code of the town of Harwich as it relates to multifamily. And the board has reviewed this on a number of occasions, but this is a public hearing. So this now provides the public with an opportunity to weigh in on this. So this bylaw does a number of things. And I'm going to try and put it all in a nutshell here. Right now, the way the bylaw is written, multifamily, it's scattered throughout the zoning bylaw in a number of different places. The multifamily right now is allowable in 4 different zoning districts. And in those zoning districts, particularly in the MRL and MRN zoning districts, right now it does require that there be either 8 acres of land or 10 acres of land in order to build multifamily. And, but of course you can't have more than 25 acres and you need a maximum of 8 bedrooms per acre in the MRL zone and 4 bedrooms per acre in the MRL1 zone. Anyone who might be familiar with Title V, this is, and if you're in a water recharge, this is actually in some cases significantly more restrictive than what the Board of Health and what Title V regulations call for. In the RH2 and the RH3 zoning districts, you only need 40,000 square feet, but you need an additional either 7,500 for every unit or 4,500 for every unit. So what this bylaw does is it reduces and clarifies that in all districts where this would be permitted by special permit, it's still a special permit use, and it would be allowed in all zoning districts except for the CH2 zoning district, which is East Harwich commercial area, and in the industrial zone. You would need a minimum of 40,000 square feet, 150 feet of frontage, and setbacks would be 25 feet on the side and rear setback. The front setback, that would be established through the site plan review process. In some cases, there are existing structures that are already within the any setback that you may establish. So it would allow for those to remain. For new construction, however, the front setback would be 25 feet minimum. We have clarified in the bylaw right now, a building is allowed to be pursuant to, I want to find the existing section here. Section 32520 does allow for a building to be 50 feet in height with no more than 4 levels for human occupation. We have reduced that to 40 feet in height with a 3.5-story limitation. So that is one of the other changes that has occurred. One of the other changes that has occurred is there is now a section proposed within the section 32551, which is the special permit requirements. And we've added a new item Q that is a multifamily special permit. So that now it's all in one location for what the various requirements are for the construction of multifamily. I certainly can go on and on this if you want. We did now specifically call out parking requirements for multifamily. And as the board knows, under site plan review, the board does have the ability to waive parking if it's deemed to be appropriate. I'm just trying to think what other changes have occurred. I think that is a basic overview of what the changes are. One thing I do want to mention, some of you may be aware there was an article in the newspaper last week regarding a potential development off of 137 in East Harwich by Chris Wise. That is a 40B, proposed 40B development. It still has not been filed with the town yet, and that would be through the Zoning Board of Appeals. But this particular zoning amendment has nothing to do with that proposal. So I want to make that very clear. There was a lot of confusion out there in the public. I did have a couple selectmen reach out to me seeking clarification themselves so that they could share that information with people that had reached out to them. So I'm happy to answer any questions that folks may have, whether it's the board or the public. So back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Charlene. I see some people on the line. Would anybody in the public like to make any comments or questions at this time? I don't hear anybody, even though they're unmuted. Anybody from the board? Because I think we have covered this.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might, again, this is on the town meeting warrant. The town meeting is this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Monomoy football field. It is Article 22 on the warrant. And as with any zoning amendment, it does require a 2/3 vote of those voting at the town meeting.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Very good.
Move to close the public hearing.
Thank you. We have that, and we have a second from
Dave Harris.
Dave. Do the roll call. Duncan Berry votes aye. Craig Chadwick.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
David Harris.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson, aye.
Bill Stoltz.
Bill?
Bill is, he's not muted.
I'm sorry. Bill Stoltz, aye.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Very good. So all we need now, I guess, is a motion on a recommendation.
So Duncan, I move that the planning board votes to approve the proposed zoning amendment for multifamily and recommend that recommend it to the town meeting.
Thank you, Mary. Do I have a second? Thank you, Joe.
Joe McCollum, second.
Roll call, Duncan Berry, aye. Craig Chadwick.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
David Harris.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson, aye.
Bill Stoltz.
Bill Stoltz, aye.
Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that concludes the primary business part of the hearings for today's meeting. We would now like to get on to the new business, if I may, which has to do with the first article has to do with the minutes from September 10th. Does anybody have any comments?
Make a motion to
Make a motion that we adopt the minutes of September 10th, 2020.
Before we do the question of whoever, it says on page 4, following the lengthy discussion that we had with regard to Witchmere, it said that lengthy discussion ensued, and Mr. McFarland said that he'd like to continue the meeting to allow for the town planner to refine any of the proposed conditions. It was simply a wording, correct? Was that all where we were, Charlene?
Yes, there just a little bit of more specificity referencing the Zoning Board of Appeals decision.
That's what it was. Okay, that's all. I couldn't recall what it was beyond the language. Thank you.
Did Alan, you seconded the motion for the minutes, right?
I did.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the minutes? Then let's do the vote. Duncan Berry, aye. Craig Chadwick.
Craig Chadwick, aye.
David Harris.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland.
Joe McFarland, aye.
Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson, aye.
Bill Stoltz.
Bill Stoltz, aye.
Thank you. Do we have any old business?
I got nothing.
I don't have anything on my note list here. Any comments?
I guess I'll ask the question just because I was thinking your announcement, Charlene. Any activity that you're aware from Joe Powers or anything in terms of your replacement?
I'm not aware of anything, no.
Thank you.
That's the burning question. I think about it every day, and I wonder whether who I get to bug with on that. No. So,
Right.
Thank you. Now, one item that I wanted to bring up is I understand we're going to open a meeting on Saturday at 9 a.m.
Yes,
That's been
so,
our tradition.
yeah, it's generally, oh, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to say, that has been our tradition, and generally what we do is we open a meeting, and we generally all sit together in case we have to get together for something on the upper left-hand side. Now, I understand this is going to be different than other town meetings because it's going to be out on the field. But if we just sort of move toward the upper left-hand side of that field, then if we need to call people together for anything, we'll be within sight of each other.
Like the left of the 20-yard line?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So at 9 o'clock, though, if folks could just come to in front of the bleachers, and at 9 o'clock, Mr. Chairman, you can call the meeting of the planning board to order. This is in case, for some reason the board needs to take any action, as Joe said.
And do we need to close the meeting at any specific time, or?
Generally, it's at the end of the town meeting itself.
Very good. Are there any briefings or reports by board members at this time?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Oh, excuse me. Joe McFarland. I'd just like the minutes to reflect our congratulations to Ms. Mazziello on her new appointment in the town of Yarmouth.
Excellent.
Thanks, Joe.
Woohoo, Mary!
Bravo.
Thank you,
I would
folks.
also like to have a general comment at this point prior to our foray into the town meeting to express our gratitude to our outgoing town planner, considering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune since March of this year that we've been able to conduct business the way that we have. I think it really speaks well for the department and particularly for your leadership. I just wanted to make sure that I express my gratitude, and I'm sure I'm speaking for plenty of other people on the board. Thank you, Charlene, really.
Ah, shucks. I hope you can't see me turning beet red here.
I second the motion.
Charlene, can I ask a question?
Of course you can.
If you finish in whatever it is, October, November,
Yep.
and when's your last day, or when do you finish?
I am actually, my last day is the Friday after Thanksgiving, which means it's really the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And
I got you.
have offered my services that if they do not hire somebody or get somebody on board, that I would definitely be willing to work in a consulting, capacity to help with the transition.
That was going to be my next question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think that's what Dave was alluding to.
All right. So do we have any reports, other reports?
I can just tell you, Duncan, if I can.
Yes.
I can tell you CPC is going to start receiving applications for this year's round of funding. Saturday, we are voting on last year's round of funding. But starting on, as of October 30th, we are accepting new applications for the next round. So as the planning board CPC rep, we will start really digging into those come November and December.
Great. Anything from historic, by the way?
Nothing yet. We have a meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, great. Okay, that looks like it's it, folks. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Joe McFarland, motion to adjourn.
I think Alan beat everybody to it.
That's fine.
Do you want a second, Joe?
Second.
So roll call. Duncan Berry, aye. Craig Chadwick.
Aye.
David Harris.
David Harris, aye.
Joe McFarland.
Aye.
Mary Maslowski.
Mary Maslowski, aye.
Alan Peterson.
Alan Peterson, aye.
And Bill Stoltz.
Both aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you Saturday morning at 10 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. 9 a.m.